Official trailer of Disney's Snow White movie has been released and it's being slammed as woke. Let's just take a look at the trailer.
Disney's live-action Snow White was meant to honor a cherished classic, but instead it's facing a storm of criticism. With hundreds of thousands of dislikes and calls for a boycott flooding social media, even CEO Bob Iger finds himself under fire. How did this magical tale transform into Disney's most explosive controversy yet?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
In 1937, Walt Disney revolutionized cinema with the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It wasn't merely a film, it was a groundbreaking milestone as the world's first ever feature-length animated movie. It reimagined the possibilities of animation, weaving heartfelt storytelling with cutting-edge techniques. For millions, Snow White wasn't just entertainment, it was an emotional journey, a timeless fairy tale filled with wonder, danger, and an enchanting magic that resonated with audiences young and old. This iconic masterpiece laid the foundation for Disney's global legacy, earning its place as a cultural cornerstone still celebrated more than 80 years later.
Snow White. They've just got a character named Snow White, but the story seems to be entirely different. Joining me now to discuss Disney seemingly destroying another classic is Turning Point USA.
Because of its legendary status, the announcement of a live-action remake ignited a surge of excitement and nostalgia. Fans envisioned a modern reimagining that would honor the soul of the original while introducing fresh elements for a new generation. The expectations were clear: remain faithful to the heart of the beloved classic while enhancing it with contemporary storytelling and cutting-edge visuals. After all, Disney had successfully achieved this balance with remakes like The Jungle Book and Cinderella, both praised for staying true to their roots while delivering a renewed and inspired take.
So it's not a progression at all to me. My issue with it is exactly what you said. There are actors, dwarf actors.
However, the live-action Snow White quickly veered off course, leaving many fans feeling disheartened and betrayed. From the moment production details and leaked images surfaced, the remake was met with backlash. It wasn't just about modernization. It seemed as though the creative choices were pulling the project further away from the magic of the original. The decision to replace the iconic Seven Dwarfs with CGI magical creatures was widely criticized, with many calling it lifeless and uninspired. Critics argued this change stripped away the charm and distinct personalities that made the original characters so beloved. Adding to the controversy, statements from the film's lead actress dismissing the original story as outdated only intensified the uproar. For audiences who grew up treasuring Snow White as a quintessential Disney experience, these changes felt less like a thoughtful update and more like a misguided deviation. What was meant to celebrate a timeless masterpiece instead felt disconnected, igniting debates about whether Disney was losing touch with the legacy that once defined it.
To Hollywood now, actress Rachel Zegler, who plays the lead role in Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White, has been slammed on social media after a clip of her calling the character of Prince.
In the trailer for the live-action Snow White debut, it failed to create the excitement Disney had anticipated. Instead, it sparked a massive backlash. Online, fans didn't hold back their reactions, and they were far from positive. On YouTube alone, the trailer amassed over 400,000 dislikes, cementing its place as one of the most negatively received trailers in recent memory. Social media platforms erupted with hashtags like #boycott Snow White as frustrated fans openly criticized the film's creative decisions. Memes and reaction videos quickly spread across Twitter and Instagram, with fans blending humor and sharp critiques to express their disappointment. What should have been a moment of nostalgic celebration turned into a digital firestorm that Disney likely hadn't prepared for.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that.
One of the most polarizing decisions in the remake was replacing the Seven Dwarfs with CGI magical creatures. In an effort to modernize the story and avoid perceived stereotypes, Disney opted to remove the original dwarfs, characters who were pivotal to the charm and emotional resonance of the 1937 classic. Fans argued that this change was unnecessary and stripped the story of its heart. The CGI replacements were widely criticized as lifeless and uninspired, a stark contrast to the memorable and beloved personalities of Doc, Grumpy, and the rest of the original group. This creative choice not only alienated longtime fans, but also sparked a broader debate about whether Disney had lost its ability to honor the legacy that made its classics timeless. For many, this felt less like innovation and more like a misstep in reimagining a cherished piece of cinematic history.
The thing is,
you know, Rachel Green, she was named after her.
she has to be very careful when you're messing with what is essentially a Disney classic. And yes, it was made in 1937, and it's very 19...
Another major source of criticism was the remake's perceived heavy-handed focus on social messaging. While many viewers agree that inclusivity and diversity are vital in modern storytelling, they felt that Disney's approach in Snow White placed messaging above entertainment. Instead of embracing what made the original story timeless, a whimsical fairy tale filled with danger, redemption, and magic, the remake seemed more focused on delivering a modernized agenda. For fans, this felt like a departure from Disney's strength, crafting narratives that connect with audiences of all ages through universal themes and emotional depth. The casting of Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the evil queen initially seemed like bold, exciting choices. Zegler, acclaimed for her role in West Side Story, and Gadot, a global icon thanks to Wonder Woman, brought star power that promised to rejuvenate a classic tale. However, that initial excitement quickly soured. Instead of celebrating their potential, the casting choices became a focal point of controversy, further fueling the backlash surrounding the live-action remake. What began as hope for a fresh take on a beloved story devolved into heated debates about whether Disney had strayed too far from its roots.
Are growing more concerned about Disney's new Snow White remake, mostly because of what the lead actress has been saying to the press. Rachel Zegler has been described as a walking PR disaster for Disney.
Rachel Zegler's public remarks about the original 1937 Snow White film sparked outrage among fans. She described the classic as dated and dismissed its themes as irrelevant to modern audiences. For many, these comments felt like a direct insult to a cornerstone of Disney's legacy. Snow White wasn't just a fairy tale, it was a groundbreaking achievement in animation that generations had grown up cherishing. To fans, Zegler's statements came across as dismissive, almost as if she looked down on the very character she was set to portray. The backlash intensified when she hinted at a radically different version of Snow White, one who wouldn't dream of love or require saving. While Zegler likely intended to champion the film's modern approach, her tone alienated audiences who treasured the original's magic, charm, and simplicity. Instead of building excitement, her comments further fueled the perception that Disney was straying too far from its roots.
Zegler's comments aren't her first slating the storyline of the 1937 classic she's remaking. In an interview with Variety last year, she claimed Snow White was not going to be saved by the prince in this new version.
The situation worsened with Rachel Zegler's social media interactions. Instead of diffusing the backlash, her responses often came across as defensive and, at times, antagonistic. Fans felt she was dismissive of their concerns, further deepening the disconnect between the audience and Disney's vision for the remake. Calls for her to be recast began circulating online, with many arguing she was not the right fit to represent a character so deeply tied to Disney's legacy. Gal Gadot, on the other hand, faced a different kind of scrutiny. Fans were initially intrigued by her casting as the evil queen. Her glamorous and heroic image made her an unconventional, yet interesting, choice for such a dark and menacing role. However, as trailers and test screenings were released, doubts about her performance began to surface. Critics described her portrayal as overly theatrical, with exaggerated expressions that bordered on caricature. Fans also questioned whether Gadot's polished, heroic persona as Wonder Woman clashed with the sinister, complex nature of the evil queen. To some, it felt as though her star power was being used as a distraction to cover up deeper issues with the film's creative direction. Instead of elevating the story, her performance only added to the growing skepticism surrounding the remake.
Ran the Parks and Consumer Products Division. 2 of Disney's parks are closed right now, Hong Kong and Shanghai. I know you oversaw the launch of the Shanghai park. There's no sign of when these parks will...
Controversy surrounding both actresses underscored a deeper issue. Fans felt Disney's casting choices revealed a growing disconnect between the studio's vision and the audience's expectations. What should have been a promotional asset became a significant public relations hurdle. Instead of building anticipation, the casting decisions seemed to intensify the backlash, further alienating an already doubtful fan base. For many, the controversy symbolized a larger problem: a perceived lack of understanding or respect for the legacy of Snow White and the audience that cherishes it. Rather than uniting fans in excitement for a modern reimagining, the casting choices became another reason for division, fueling the growing skepticism surrounding the remake.
Continue on the path that Iger has started, or do you envision more need for change or potential acquisitions or sort of shifts?
Iger's legacy as Disney CEO is one of remarkable achievement. He steered the company through some of its most prosperous years, overseeing the acquisition of major brands like Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. Under his leadership, Disney transformed into an entertainment juggernaut with an unrivaled portfolio of beloved franchises. However, the Snow White controversy has presented a challenge unlike any Iger has faced before, casting a shadow over his otherwise stellar career. What was once a symbol of Disney's innovation and success now risks tarnishing the very reputation Iger worked so hard to build, as the backlash surrounding the remake threatens to undermine years of creative and commercial triumphs.
Actually causing a huge backlash from it. We've seen countless times that conservatives will vote with their wallet and won't engage with these kind of things. We saw it with the Bud Light commercial, and we could well see it with Disney, which, by the way, is not doing particularly well in its finances.
The backlash against Snow White has placed Bob Iger in an unenviable position. Reports suggest that he is deeply frustrated with the film's creative direction, which has devolved into a public relations disaster. The movie has been criticized at every turn, from its initial announcement to the release of its trailer. With 5 failed test screenings and an unprecedented level of online backlash, the film's negative reception is unlike anything Disney has faced in recent memory. Insiders claim that Iger has ordered last-minute changes in an attempt to salvage the project, but these reactive measures have done little to quell the storm. Instead of restoring faith in the remake, the continuous adjustments have only amplified the sense of disarray, leaving Disney scrambling to recover from the mounting criticism.
A walking PR disaster for the Disney brand, whilst others have said the reboot should be named as Snow Woke.
Surely Woke White works better. I don't know.
Woke White?
That's good, actually.
Thank you.
Due to the political...
This controversy has far-reaching implications for Iger's leadership and Disney's future. Iger has long been recognized for championing diversity and inclusivity in storytelling, a move that has earned both praise and criticism. While these efforts align with contemporary cultural shifts, they have also sparked debates about whether Disney's focus on representation has come at the expense of its storytelling. The financial impact of this strategy is becoming harder to ignore, with declining box office numbers and a shrinking market cap signaling a need for recalibration. Adding to the pressure is Iger's planned retirement in 2026. The stakes have never been higher. If Snow White fails to resonate with audiences, it could tarnish Iger's legacy and raise serious questions about the company's direction under his leadership. This controversy has also reignited discussions among shareholders and fans about whether Disney is losing touch with its core audience. Iger's ability to navigate this crisis will be a defining moment in his career, as both fans and critics eagerly await to see if Disney can reclaim its footing or if the company's future is headed in a new, uncertain direction.
And the Prince Charming, they meet one time, and yeah, they fall in love, etc., etc. But he then does spend the rest of the film trying to find her, and then he sees her dead.
For Iger, the Snow White debacle isn't just about one film. it's a reflection of the larger challenges facing Disney as he nears the end of his tenure. The success or failure of this movie could become a symbol of Disney's ability to adapt to a shifting cultural and entertainment landscape. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether Iger's leadership can withstand this storm and restore confidence in the brand. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are undeniably important in today's storytelling landscape. Audiences are more diverse than ever, and representation in media plays a vital role in making everyone feel seen and valued. Disney has positioned itself at the forefront of this movement, integrating these principles into many of its recent projects. However, the backlash surrounding Snow White has raised questions about whether the company has struck the right balance. Fans have criticized Disney's perceived prioritization of social messaging over entertainment value. Many felt the changes in Snow White came across as forced, disconnected from the heart of the original story. One prominent example of this backlash was the decision to replace the seven dwarfs with CGI magical creatures. While likely intended to modernize and avoid stereotypes, this change left many feeling that the remake lacked the charm and emotional depth of the original. For audiences who grew up cherishing the timeless qualities of Disney classics, these alterations seemed unnecessary and out of place. At the same time, it's important to recognize that inclusivity and great storytelling don't have to be at odds. Films like Coco and Zootopia have shown that it's possible to tackle meaningful social issues while maintaining the narrative charm and emotional resonance that audiences love. The problem with Snow White lies in its execution. Fans felt that the film was more focused on delivering a message than on creating a story that truly captivated viewers. This approach made the changes feel performative rather than authentic, leaving audiences feeling disconnected. The ongoing debate over Snow White touches on a larger cultural conversation about how classic stories should be updated for modern audiences. Some argue that adaptations should stay true to their source material, preserving the qualities that made them beloved in the first place. Others believe that updates are necessary to reflect contemporary values and ensure broader representation. The challenge lies in striking the right balance. Audiences want diversity, but they also want stories that feel genuine and compelling. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below, especially if you have any topics you'd like us to tackle. We'd love to create videos that you want to see.